every single game, with all due respect. But we get to enjoy and savor this victory with 6 goals, cracking open a six pack. YouTube, don't get down our road, please. But we have 4 people to talk about it for all 4 unique goal scorers that we had today because we had a hat trick moment. But before we get into all that, let's get some initial thoughts, reactions, feelings from everybody here. And we'll start off with Devin.
I mean, what a game it was. Like, watching the Quakes, you're expecting to make it like a tight game. That's what we're used to, like a 2-1, maybe 1 goal difference. But no, we got 6-1. I think one of our Discord users mentioned it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was tied for one of the biggest goal differences in league history, along with like 2 or 3 other games since like 1996. So that's impressive alone. I'm kind of enjoying life under Bruce Arena, and I'm also enjoying life when my girlfriend attends a game and watches a game because we are 3-0 every single time she watches, whether it be the away game at SKC or she's in attendance for RSL, and then yesterday's game during this time of recording with DC United, and I couldn't be any more happier. One, the fact that she was there, and two, the fact that we won by such a huge margin.
All right, and yeah, it was a really great opportunity to get to know your family and your girlfriend there. We got to run into them and talk about that, and it was really fun just to see everyone involved in this great game. I know that from the broadcast perspective and people weighing in that people made comments about the attendance, but hey, if we can play like that, then that's one way to help the attendance cause. But for those of us that were there, it's a day we're never going to forget. And Saz, your thoughts?
Maybe I'm just a little pessimistic from the last couple seasons, but all I can keep thinking about is how bad DC was. Like, I don't even look at it as like, wow, what a game from us. I just kept being like, wow, they are so bad. Like, I was in disbelief at some of the things I saw and was looking at it as like, this is a professional soccer team on the other side of the pitch. Um, Day games are amazing. I wish we had way more. That was so much fun. Like you said, I get the whole attendance thing. Um, Even if it was like a Friday night, like it was so nice not getting home at like midnight on Saturday, or I guess what then be Sunday. Uh, yeah, it was really good. I feel like because the lack of defense that was with DC, we got to see what we saw in the first couple games with Chicho and Joseph trying to connect with each other, kind of run up each other, and get kind of a highlight of what we could be having. And it's kind of, if we compare it to the first game, this game, and then the middle games, it's like, okay, how do we now connect it all?
I agree. I kind of want to. I kind
That's
of want
going
to
to be
bounce
big
off of
question going
Saz's
forward.
DC United looking angry point. Their goalkeeper was fuming with every single goal conceded, and I felt bad because the keeper just like it wasn't his fault that they conceded so many times. It was the back line, but you could only feel for the goalkeeper just because of how upset he looked after every single goal conceded. Even my parents recognized that. They're like, what is going on here? Like, this goalkeeper doesn't deserve the 6-1 score line.
I don't know who it was. Someone on our team gave him a hug after like the sixth goal. Like they just went up and they didn't even celebrate. They're just like, "My bad, dog."
Was that Pele?
It might have been that. That would sound about right. Also, if this was one of the biggest goal differentials in league history, I think that means we are a part of two of those because I believe we did lose 7-1 under to Seattle with Almeida. If somewhat in that ballpark.
Yeah, of course, these big score lines stand out whether you're on the right side of it or the wrong side of it. And this match was followed by a very memorable press conference for thankfully good reasons, of course, because we were on the right side of that score line. And the silence was deafening after the game where we lost big against Seattle Sounders under Matias Almeida. And he was very terse. He was visibly upset, and rightfully so. And I'm sure that the type of press conference that Almeida had then is what Troy Lassen had with DC United. Fortunately for him, that being across the country, not too many reporters could be there in person. It was probably a Zoom call, but the embarrassing aspect of it for them was that they flew out their legends, many of which Bruce Arena reconnected with, of course, former coach of DC United, and that was a really tough game to swallow, knowing that they had a big role in that game Granted, they lost in 1986, but obviously 1-0 is different than 6-1. Abram, your initial
Yeah, I
thoughts?
mean, you guys covered a lot of that. You know, that's what's going to happen when we have so many people here, uh, which I'm obviously super happy about. We usually it's just me and Ivan here, so it's really nice to have the whole family or most of the family here. But about the game, Saz was talking about how we love day games. Abram does not like day games. Abram likes to sleep till as long as my body will let me. And I woke up at around 10 just to start getting ready, start getting my day going. And I was like, should I not go today? Like, would that be too big of an issue to not go? But if I hadn't, I would have missed out on a really big game. That was, it was really beautiful to see our attack just like connecting in all the ways that it did. Nico was on fire. Uh, Pellegrino even got a goal and an assist. Great showing from him. Mark Anthony K. He ended up getting a hockey assist. So everyone's getting involved, and it was really nice to see. And Joseph really needed this, in my opinion. He's been fine, but he hasn't been like lighting it up like we would have wanted him to, and how his pedigree would suggest. Um, I'm really happy for him, especially to be getting a hat trick in the fashion that he did as well.
I think Josef deserved so many more goals in the earlier games too. I personally felt bad for him because he's the type of player that finds that slot in behind the defensive, the back line, and he takes that small touch towards goal and he finishes right off of the bat. Most of the times he just kind of missed out on that first touch. The ball just went too far ahead. The keeper was able to catch it, etc. But I think this time, even with Espinosa's beautiful ball over the top, right to Josef's feet, on that through ball, over the top through ball. I think that was an absolutely brilliant play, and the fact that he first touched it, it kind of bounced in the air and then was able to flick it over not only the DC United's defender, but the goalkeeper as well, right into the back of the net. I think this does portray his true colors as as one of the top goal scorers in the league.
Yeah, and a very historic day became historic for many other reasons. We saw Christian Espinoza climb up the goal scoring charts for San Jose Earthquakes record books, passing Landon Donovan, and then Joseph Martinez with his contributions to Atlanta and Inter and Montreal, and now San Jose Earthquakes. Now he's passing Bradley Wright Phillips for the all-time goal scoring list, and I think it would be amazing to see how far Joseph Martinez could climb, and yet another player along with Wando and Landon Donovan who played an instrumental role for the San Jose Earthquakes in their careers. We'll see what kind of role he'll be playing, because maybe this time when he scored a hat trick and he got 3 goals in one outing was kind of karmic. It was the type of game that if you miss out on opportunities and you feel like your goal scoring average is down than what you expected, well, that's a great pick me up right there. And I think this is a great way to.
I was gonna say, sorry to
yes,
interrupt, but do you think Wando like watches things like this and like when the first goal goes in, he's like, "Yes, we're up one," and then Joseph like, we're already up a couple goals, and then Joseph gets like a second and third goal, he's like, "Hey, why don't we pass the rock around a little? Like you don't gotta score all of them." Like,
Yeah, well, it's also very fitting that we talk about it. So, a DC team that is faring a lot better, the Washington Capitals, had a very special moment regarding record-breaking goal scoring. So, of course, Alex Ovechkin broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal scoring record, and Wayne Gretzky made it abundantly clear, like when he broke the record from Gordie Howe, I believe, that Gordie Howe was very gracious, first to congratulate him, and vice versa. Now, we'll see what happens with Wondolowski and Martinez, but the fact that despite the high highs and especially the low lows that the San Jose Earthquakes have experienced, that we could have yet a third player that has donned San Jose Earthquakes colors and that is creeping up those league-wide records. It shows that San Jose Earthquakes have had a big mark in history over MLS's 30th season. Of course, that was a bit of a hanging up point. So 30th season, 29 years, a little bit of a technicality there. We'll see if that ends up happening in future seasons, because the way that we've expanded, obviously, we're not likely to play DC United next season when it will have been 30 years on the dot. But On the topic of the pregame celebration, we did have to talk about how cool it was to see all 30 MLS teams represented with the flags. But of course, when it came to the LA Galaxy flag, it was upside down.
I'll post the photo of that and edit on the screen right now. But yeah, that was really funny. Some of the fans on the field tried to flip LAFC's flag upside down, but towards the very end they reverted it back right side up. But it was a really funny moment. Tons of the fans on Instagram was poking at that. Some LA Galaxy fans were like, "Don't do your daddy like that," but they're about to steal our wooden spoon, so have that. Um, I also wanted to give a shout out to Yosef. It was announced today that he was player of the match day.
Yeah, so that was big. Not just being on the team of the week, but being the player of the match day. Of course, with the hat trick, that's going to be tough to ignore. But him and Christian Espinoza being honored, it's just absolutely well done. And a big factor in San Jose Earthquakes getting a lot of praise for this game, aside from the ridiculous scoreline, is the fact that this is a rare occasion where we're playing in a unique time slot. We were the only team that was playing 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and that means that more eyes are on us than usual in people that don't normally watch a San Jose Earthquakes game because we're playing on the same time slot as Portland, Seattle, LAFC, LA Galaxy when they're at home as well, and now San Diego FC. So there's a lot of competition in that time slot compared to, say, the Mountain Time slot where it's either Real Salt Lake or Colorado Rapids. So taking advantage of this opportunity and turning some heads. Of course, there's the caveat that it's DC United and that they're enduring a really tough spell. They came close to making the playoffs last season, but they fell short. And now, aside from Christian Benteke, it appears that there's not a lot of support in that team. I thought it was peculiar that you had someone like Dominic Badji, who's made a career out of being like a super sub, that you're thrusting him into the starting lineup to be a winger, which is not necessarily Badji's preferred role. He did find the back of the net in that offside call, but it just shows that aside from a few key players, that DC United is really struggling, and we empathize with that. They're one of the original teams like us. We've had similar low lows, and yeah, we saw that a lot of fans are really disgusted by the way that DC United is operating things, and we do wish them the best. I know some friends who are DC United fans, and they're really disappointed by this performance. So whenever you talk to your friend and they're on the wrong side of a losing effort and it's your team, maybe depending on what your friendship is looking like, you may poke fun a little bit here and there, but you also recognize that they're your friend and you want to talk to them in a way that, okay, you're not cutting the knife too deep there. But yeah, and also really feel bad for the young goalie that DC United put out there. Very few MLS goalkeepers that are starting regularly are in their early 20s. Usually it's mid to late 20s and definitely some in the 30s. But yeah, it was just really tough outing for him to go down 3-0 early. I'm making sure I get his name. So it's Kim Jun Hong. So fresh out of the K League, and he did very well in that league. But much of the response from DC United fans was that they believe he's a really good goalkeeper, but just the defense did not help him whatsoever. And I feel like that's a fair assessment, right?
Absolutely, and I think. Sorry, I see Saz about to make a comment, but I just want to make something really quick. Like Pellegrino's hustle towards the end of the game was astounding. We hadn't really seen that from Pellegrino, and I know Abrams kind of touched up on this earlier. Like, he kind of played a cam role, and he played it really well in the second half of the game, surprisingly. And we know Pellegrino's ability, and he found a way to shine with his passing rather than his attempted shooting, for lack of a better term. So I was really surprised by that.
I'll even build off that. I feel Oscar or
Saz, if
Verhoeven
you
was
wanna...
another one. I feel like they were two subs that came in and really wanted to make the most of their minutes, and I felt like they were chasing down the ball, even if it was like 15, 20 yards away. Like, there were multiple times. That was a really good catch that I would see them as well, like sprinting like 20, 30 yards to make up some ground to make sure we had the numbers. But I also want to say this is probably the first time I've ever seen this not be the Earthquakes on a field, where the team like has to come together and like huddle in the middle of a game, and then after the game the entire staff and players like circle around the pitch to have a talk with each other. Like that, like they lost to the Earthquakes pretty bad, and they're like, "There's a crisis mode. We all need to circle up and talk." Usually it's us. Usually it's like our 18th loss in a row. Like, and we're like, "Guys, blah 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 blah." But for once, it was the other team. Like we finally beat someone pretty bad. Like it is DEFCON 5. It is all hands on deck. Something is wrong.
Well, we've already seen one of the teams that we beat this season, Sporting Kansas City. They fired Peter Vermees, so we could be a kiss of death if Troy Lesend makes it 2 out of 3. I don't think Real Salt Lake are going to let go of Mastroeni just yet, so he's safe for now. But yeah, I guess that's just how they do it in DC. Every team, every government official gets a Secret Service to huddle around them.
Almost the Bruce Arena effect. One thing I'd like to mention too is that play between Josef and Nico. Nico finally getting an assist on the season, gets his first start, gets his first point. You love to see it. Just the amount of height that Josef, is it Josef or Josef?
Josef.
I keep saying Josef.
I
It's
think
probably
the
Josef, right?
Spanish pronunciation it likes to go Josef,
The
but I
way
think
you
it goes
pronounce
Josef. I think
Josef.
Josef.
I'm gonna just call him Joe.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the amount of height that Josef got to win the header initially, and the I don't know for lack of a better term, like the mental strength, just to like land on your feet, quickly turn, and then sprint straight towards goal, as well as Nico's heading ability to pass towards goal, to give a through ball for Josef Martinez to slot away was also just one of the most impressive goals, I would say, for the day. I don't know of a better goal to finish that besides Benteke's first goal of the two, to help Chicho Arango get the opening scoring here. But yeah, shout out to Nico first and foremost, but impressive performance by Josef, especially on that. I think it was his
Nico
first
had a
goal
great game, and
of
I
the
feel like
game.
he's
Might have
someone
been his
who
second.
needed to have a good game with Hernan being out. Also, I ran into Hernan during the game, and I asked him how he was doing, and with my very little Spanish I know, and I asked him how the shoulder was, and he said he'll be good in 3 games. So hopefully within 3 games he'll be back, and then I think Benji said he'll be back next game or like maybe one more game. At least good to play. That's what they're saying. But if you, I think it was like third. It was really, really early on. Like it was the chance where like Nico like crossed the guy like 3 different times and sent him like flying. It didn't end up in a goal. It was almost identical to the goal he scored for the U.S. youth national team. I almost said men's national team. He definitely likes that move. Except this time, it's funny. He went for the assist versus going for the goal. So I wonder if that's still like a thing of like him gaining the confidence. If maybe in that position he just thought it was a little bit better, or in the youth national team he feels like he's more the guy. Also, it could just be the situation. Like, no need to look too deep into it, but I thought that was another interesting thing. Like, as it was happening, I was like seeing the Instagram reel in my head of like him doing it for the youth national team.
If I can again, I've always said about Nico is that he's an incredible player, and he has a lot of confidence in himself. But you can see when he enters the box, he kind of becomes more frantic, and he's usually very composed. So it's weird that when he enters the box for whatever reason, he becomes like he starts to panic and doesn't quite play like himself. And I think that's part of the reason we see him go for the assist rather than take it on himself, because he has the ability. He hasn't gotten his first goal in MLS play. I don't believe he had a goal against Bay Cities back in the day, but he's had chances, but we're still waiting for him to finally break the duct and put the ball away. But I think that once he gets one, he's gonna have no problem after that. He's gonna see that it's not actually that big of a deal. Anyone could do it, and I think they'll start to come pretty regularly after that. Yeah,
According to what Saz says, he's
don't
got 3
forget,
games to do
Nico
it.
is not just a 10. Even though we were saying, Ivan and I were like, Nico needs to come back. We need him back because we need a 10. We need a designated 10. But he can also play as an 8. I think he's a very capable 8 as well. And we have a lot of competition in those areas. So I don't think it'll be the end of Nico once Hernan comes back, but definitely we shouldn't expect to see him as a 10 once that does happen.
And I think you can feel pretty justified about how much hyping up you have been of the MLS Next Pro pathways, because pretty much every town player that has been involved in the first team this season has performed well when given the opportunity. And we get even more good news on the youth front today when we see that Kadrian KK Spivey was named to the 2025 Generation Adidas Cup Rising 11. So they just keep
Yeah,
on
I mean,
coming.
I've talked about Katrin before. The biggest thing I could say about him that people will understand is that he's at a similar age range as Kevin Sullivan, and a lot of people compare the two and say like they watch like Cajun play and they're like, I haven't seen anyone this young, this good since Kevin, and that's a big deal, right? You know, you don't expect to hear two of those caliber players coming up at the same time, especially owned by the Quakes. But it's just it's a testament, and that's why we see Cadrian at such a young age. We don't see them starting for MLS Next Pro teams at this age, for us at least. So Dan De Geer has a diamond in his hand that we have to trust him to not drop. We have to make sure that he's developed well. We don't want to overplay him. We don't want to underplay him. So definitely someone to motivate you, the viewer at home, to watch the town. If you have what's it called, MLS Plus Pass. I was gonna say MLS Plus. If you have the MLS Season Pass, go ahead and watch the town play because it's for free. The same. You just scroll down at the bottom of the Earthquakes page. The town's right there. And they don't play at the same time usually, so definitely give them a watch because that's where all our young players are. We see Chance Cowell's also been getting starts, so definitely check them out.
Yeah, so let's give one last big overview and like some different positional groups here. Devin, you can sum up maybe Daniel's best moment in goal and anything else you saw there. Saz, if you want to talk about the defense, Abram, the midfield, and then we already know how the forwards did, so I'll talk about the contributions from players off the bench. So, Devin, Daniel, he was instrumental in making sure that when it was tight, it stayed tight.
And that's exactly what we want from a goalkeeper. I know that in years past, we've kind of struggled with having that prominent figure in the back of the net. But anytime Daniel's feet is planted in the ground on any given minute of the 90, I'm feeling pretty confident and safe that we're keeping a low score. And holy cow, is Daniel a phenomenal goalkeeper? I said it on Twitter or X. I said it in our Discord. He's probably single-handedly the best goalkeeper in the league right now with his shot-stopping ability. I don't remember what minute it was, and I think it was in the second. No, it was the first half. One of the DC United players ripped a shot at Daniel, and I genuinely thought it was going in, but he managed to parry it away for a corner kick. But nonetheless, his ability to read the direction of shots on any given opponent, especially versus DC United. Really impressive stuff. I only know how fantastic Mr. Brown is at his goalkeeping coach. Kudos to him. Shout out to him. Aiden Brown is a legend. Keep it going, Daniel. Keep it going.
Absolutely. Daniel's been phenomenal, and his life has been made easier. He's making great saves, including a big double save in the second half, but his life has been made easier by the players in front of him, Saz.
Honestly, I think his the reasons you would give him MVP have been made easier by the people in front of him because of how many shots they allow towards him. This is a tough game to kind of like judge the defense because I feel like the whole thing was, all right, one of you try and deal with Benteke and the other one get the runner. Like, I'll say from Victor Costa's standpoint, I feel like this is his best game for us so far. I feel like he struggled for us a bit. I feel like 70% of the match he was actually like pretty good. The I don't want to go too much into the midfield because it's not my section, but one person I want to say that really helped out defensively and that I think is so underrated on our team is Ian Harkes. He's there, he's here, he's there, he's every freaking where. Ian Harkes. He ran so much. He runs every game. He runs every game, and I feel like the biggest thing for us defensively that's been killing us is the late runners. And thankfully, this whole game, all they were doing were flick-ons. His ability to come back and cover all that, it's so incredible.
Devin, did you want to add something based on your reaction?
I don't know. I obviously this is the first time I'm on the podcast in several months, but I've kept a close eye on Ian Harkes. I love, like what Saz says, I love his ability that like he's fast, he's quick, he can sprint, he's got the endurance to last 3 games, I think. However, I think his hindrance comes where we hope Nico can shine, and that it's his ability to bring the ball forward and distribute it where necessary. I think that's Harkes' only not weak point, because it's not necessarily weak, but I think we have other players who can manage as an 8 to bring the ball forward. I think in Bruce's system specifically, we need to have a player at an 8 who's capable of defending better than what I think Nico is capable of, and I think that man is Ian Harkes. So in that regard, I would much prefer to see Harkes in the 8. However, I think that somewhat lack of ability to distribute the ball forward like Nico is capable of as an 8, I think is something that Harkes can improve on. Other than that,
and to bounce off your point,
I fully agree.
This is something I had said earlier in the season. It's a little bit of a dichotomy, but like if you just stay with me for a second, Ian Harkes is our best midfielder in the sense of he needs to be our 3rd best midfielder when there's 3 midfielders, and that will be the most successful thing for our team. When he is like, it might sound a little insulting, he is a role player. Like he plays a role, and when he is playing his role, and when the Earthquakes are doing good, you will not notice him. You will not be like, oh, he had a great game, and that will be him having a great game. To keep it short, the best way I can summarize it for a lot of people would be Conte during the Leicester City run. You have the guy who's running around and doing all the extra work, making the tackles. He wasn't bringing up the ball. Mahrez was, right? He wasn't scoring all the goals. Vardy was, right? But he was the guy going for the tackles, running around so other midfielders could do those jobs. Like you were saying, Nico brings up the ball a little bit more while Ian stays it back a little bit. And then that's why I've sometimes talked about like maybe we need an actual holding mid, and then Ian could be more box to box, and then we have the 10 with Hernan or Nico going up. But I 100% agree with what you said as well.
Yeah, and to go with your analogy, N'Golo Kante made Danny Drinkwater look so good that Chelsea spent 30 million on him, and even Mark Albrighton too. So that is helpful. Harkes has been doing so well. I'm sure that when Lopez is healthy again, you're probably looking at Harkes to maybe move to the bench if you want to include Chakiris. I'm sure Bruce Arena may look at it a little bit differently. But then you also have Mark Anthony Kaye as well, who's pretty much been a better closer for the Quakes than Camilo Doval has been for the Giants. Somehow he got that win the same day as the Quakes game. But
what are they, 8-1
yeah,
now?
And they're now actually, top of the NL West. That is a brutal division. Just perfect time for sports right now, for sure, across the board. But Mark Anthony Kaye has adopted that kind of closer role. And in the defense, Abram and I noticed right away when the first minute Rodriguez and Benteke had an aerial duel. I think that was needed to ensure that Rodriguez, he was up for the challenge, and he sure was. Benteke is just such a challenge for any defender, whether he's in the Premier League or whether he's here in Major League Soccer. If we're nitpicking, I feel like Dave Romney near the end of the game, maybe it's because we had a big lead, but he was playing almost like a left back in a way, or he was trying to get in those positions. Some of his crosses were a little wayward, but I appreciate the hustle there. But yeah, it wasn't a perfect afternoon from the defense, but it sure felt like they have a good thing going with Daniel. And Bruce and Ray did mention that because of some getting to know, between Daniel and Romney in particular, because of course Rodriguez and Wilson have been with the team now, and those 3 players are Portuguese speakers, so there's less of a language barrier there, that he hopes that Daniel will become more vocal as the game goes on. But now with the midfield, we went from the start of the season where, whoa, Bolaru is starting, to Bolaru better be starting whenever he's healthy, right,
You
Abram?
guys said Abram can talk about the midfield, and then you guys talked about every midfielder, and I didn't get to say one thing. There's two midfielders, Ian Harkes and Bolaru,
Do it again.
and then you guys. I want to talk about Ian Harkes. I want to talk about Bolaru. Oh my god, you guys are funny. No, I mean you guys are spot on with everything you said. And the only thing I want to add on to what Devin was saying about Ian Harkes is that, in my opinion, this was a very good game for me in Harkes. I think Taz is right that you want him to do all the dirty work, but in the on the ball department, I feel like this game, I felt that he showed more of his weaknesses than usual. I'm not saying he's weak at it, but there was a few times where he made a pass. I was like, I think he could have done better there. But Bo LaRue is that the kind of counter to that, where he is a player who is very sure of his passes, very calm, collected player, and he's somehow getting like a bunch of interceptions. If you watch him, he's just like getting interception after interception, and it's not like he's hustling to see. I mean, obviously he's working very hard. You have to in the two midfielder system, but he he just reads it well. So he doesn't even have to. He doesn't look like he's trying when he just like just magically does it. And then on the ball, he's wonderful to watch. I asked Christian Espinosa about him because until the season started, he'd only played college, and then we got him in the second round, I believe. And then he was playing for the town, and I was like, okay, he's a good player. He's a good role player. He's doing good, but I didn't expect Bruce to bring him up to the first team. But I guess they had been seeing things behind the scenes, because Christian was like, as soon as I played with him, I knew immediately the kind of player he was going to be. Christian had a lot of good things to say about Bolivar, and he said that he's going to be very important for this team, and I totally agree. I'm surprised, as someone who's watched the town and liked Bolivar. I didn't see it coming quite to this magnitude. I guess another guy can count as a midfielder, even though his designation is a right wing back. He's a midfielder. Christian Espinosa, our best player, our captain. He just has a knack for getting goal contributions just somehow. We've said everything there is to say about Espinosa pretty much, but we don't talk about his leadership qualities, and just the way that he spoke about Bolaru specifically was like, he's like very candid, and I've seen like snippets of it in press conferences because of the questions that we asked aren't towards this subject, but the way he talks about his fellow players and his connection with them, you get to kind of parcel out the effect that he has, and also the relationship that a captain should have, where he's super passionate and he's always giving 100%. And then he's not just like trying super hard like Ian Harkes. He also has an insane amount of quality to back it up, and he leads by example in that way. And he speaks really good English as well. Like a lot of players, they come here and they don't learn English, but he put in the effort to do that. And I think that is one of the things that shows his capabilities as a captain, as well as everything else I mentioned. But
To build off Abram's Bolaru points, Bolaru just makes the game look so flawless with the way he intercepts the ball, the way he distributes the ball, the way he dribbles the ball. Everything just looks effortless and flawless, and I don't want to compliment him too much, but it's like watching a San Jose State version of Lionel Messi. It looks so flawless. Like, people are gonna come at me in the comments. I don't give a I don't care. It just looks so flawless, and that's one of the ways he scored his goal. Even if it was a deflection, he intercepted the ball, he saw an opportunity, and he took it. That's what you want out of a professional footballer. So everything that I've seen ever since the day he got drafted to the Earthquakes and then sent to the town, it's only been positives. I love, Bolaru's integration into the starting 11 from this season, and I'm really happy that Bruce Arena has trusted him enough to give him not only minutes, but the start that he
I
very
think
much
his
deserves now.
composure is what is most impressive to me because I always say, and he's the exception to the rule. I say you can always tell when a rookie or young kid is on the field because of the way they sprint. Like they will sprint after plays, they will run, and then by their second or third year in the league, they'll still sprint, but it's like here or there, or like they know when to make the runs and when they just give up on it. He looked composed right away. Not to say that he's not sprinting or he is sprinting here or there, but like a lot of times rookies do when they get the ball, rush, pass, quick, try to make a good play, check my shoulders, run. Like again, he's doing all that, but it's at a very composed level. Like I belong here. I've done this before. Like I'm just still playing. Like let me get on with the game.
No, I agree. I think that Bolaroo is kind of, I wouldn't compare to Messi, but he's like a lower, like obviously lower tier Zidane, where he has a level of grace and elegance that is combined with aggression and competitive spirit, where he wants to win at all costs, but he has the skill and also the elegance and the reading of the game. It's beautiful. And if you don't agree, you're not watching the Quake. Bolaroo is having an incredible. Like I see Devin laughing at me, but he said Messi. So
No, I'm laughing.
I
I saw
didn't
Saz
want to be
completely
on the
disappear from the
screen
screen for a second.
when people are like the San Jose Earthquakes players like Messi and Zidane.
no.
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm not laughing at what you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
Abram. I did mention Messi. Okay, I will get
I get
the discredit for that in the comments. But watching Saz
get what
front
y'all
off is really
mean.
funny.
And I get what y'all are trying to say. It's just it was funny.
He plays like he wants to play like Zidane, or like,
Yeah. No, I get
yeah.
inspired by similar qualities
I
at a
don't
different level. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I
Yeah.
don't believe he's going to win a World Cup or a Champions League with Real Madrid.
He might headbutt someone.
He might.
We don't know.
We don't know. He could still do that. He has a long career
Oh
ahead
my
of
God.
him.
He might go
Plenty
bald.
of time to hit someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only just getting started. Ivan, what about forwards? What can you give us?
So we already know how well the forwards did. Of course, Martinez, he got his hat trick. Espinoza did get a hat trick of sorts with 1 goal and 2 assists. And Christian Arango, he had a very physical game. He got fouled a few times, but he did get his goal as well. And as for the bench, just impact players throughout. I mentioned the Canadian Shield, Mark Anthony Kay. He's a strong closer for us. Amal Pellegrino's best game in a Quakes jersey. We hope to see more from that. Obviously, we're not going to expect a goal and an assist with 20-minute cameos every game, but more of that, please. And then Jamar Ricketts, Oscar Verhoeven, Arsenio Buda, great energy throughout. And then we've seen what the likes of Reed Roberts and Preston Judd can do when they've been given opportunities. I think that Reed Roberts is probably going to have to get some more time in next pro, especially if Benji Kikanovic is back and then followed by Hernan Lopez soon. My hope for the U.S. Open Cup sounds cruel because, for a backup goalkeeper, you want to play them at some point, but I would like this compromise. If Daniel Muni is going to get his first game of the season in the U.S. Open Cup, let's have Daniel start there as well. But we do have to prepare for the possibility that Earl Edwards Jr. gets a game there. But we've had players like Jack Skane, Paul Marie, and Nick Lima that aren't making our bench. It's a good problem to have. Like, it feels good to know that. And you look at the opposition bench for DC United, I feel like the only player that I would consider having on my bench would be Aaron Herrera because he's their usual starter. I'm surprised he didn't start for DC United this game. Not that he was going to change everything for them, but I'm really happy with this team is at right now. But I will say, I was still nervous about this game because I felt like, and this aged horribly after this game, DC United's roster does not look that dissimilar to Colorado Rapids, who did beat us. And they have the best overall player between Colorado and DC in Christian Benteke. So you can't overlook anybody. And this is Christian Espinoza's quote that he's mentioned pretty much any press conference that I've listened of him. We aren't necessarily always the best team when we win. We're not necessarily the worst team when we lose. So just to make sure that we keep a level head after all the praise that we heaped on these players on a incredible performance. Some other lingering thoughts I have before we talk a little bit about the LAFC challenge ahead of us was the return of the San Jose Clash Scorpion for the day and Troy Dayak looking jacked with the reel to sound the horn at the start of the game. Any other similar thoughts about the festivities and the atmosphere?
I really want that white jacket, that white glass jacket. I'll say that right now. That's beautiful. That is a gorgeous piece of work. Um, this jersey was bought by my girlfriend, so shout out to her for that present and gift. This jersey is sick. I can't look at it enough. I was trying to get a jersey without the El Camino Health or without the sponsor, but if we win MLS Cup with this sponsor, I will be more than ecstatic to wear this every single day for the rest of my life. That said, I guess what's the event coming up against SKC? Is it like Country Night or something like that?
I just know that that's the next home game, but I don't know the specific theme night off the top of my head.
They changed the theme nights
But-
like
Okay.
five different times in the span of 10 minutes, like the day they announced it.
Just for our fans to know, I guess Country Night's coming up April 19th. But going back to this event, it was really fun. It was really fun. We attended a preseason season ticket holder meeting up in the Sky Vodka Lounge. I definitely got a little drunk, so there was a skewed opinion on the game, with just a little bit of an influence in there.
I guess some early games are also worth waking up for after the fact, right, Abram?
I could have
Still
watched
no?
it on TV. I could have showed up at 3 o'clock until the press conference. No, I told us a story about Troy Dyack at the game. I don't know if you're allowed to speak about it, but I thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like, so like I've done it before a couple times, like the siren that goes off during the game. And the first year we had it wasn't the most stable thing in the world. Second year we got a big upgrade for it. I've had it for a couple years now. So someone told Troy, like, hey, like, it's pretty stable. Like, we told him that story. This man is like country for sure. They were feeding him cornbread or something. The amount, I don't care how old he is. Like, he was cranking that thing. The stand, metal stand, giant metal stand, by the way, like a lot of pounds, right? Lifting off the ground. We had to like slam on it to keep him down. And then like I gave him a fist bump after the game, and this man like goes like that, right? But I swear my wrist was about to break. He is so unbelievably strong. Like, that farm boy strength is unreal. It was, I think we could have subbed him in. I genuinely think we could have subbed him in.
Yeah, that would have been pretty interesting. If we ever need like a WrestleMania halftime show event, like he could be a fun halftime performer and that sort of thing.
I think it would have been nice to show Benteke what's what, because he was giving our defenders the business for the most part. So
For real.
Also, apparently, what is it? Ronaldo was like pooping himself during his little performance pre-show. I guess he thought he missed the initial shot just because it's starting to go wide, but it curled back in just like the original goal. But he posted on social media. He's like, "Oh man, I was really worried my shot was going to miss
I didn't
initially."
expect him to go for the top bin shot, but it did go top bin. It was a really nice shot. I have a.
It was an impressive shot, honestly. Yeah.
Action figure that I got.
I wanted to
That's
add
sick,
two things
actually.
when we didn't talk about this player at all. My best friend, Jamar Ricketts, came on as a sub, almost scored a goal off of sliding, and then got a pretty good assist later. I feel like he was involved in a lot of the action. His energy, still youthful, right? Still learning the league, but a lot of energy, a lot of tackles again up and down the field. So I think that was really good to have. And then just to go to the Colorado point, I actually think the two teams are very different. I think Colorado has, of their young players, a lot of like youth national or like semi in the camp like players and up and coming, and then some players like Zach Steffen with maybe a little bit more experience. DC United had Benteke. And it could have been 10 fans after that, for all I was concerned.
Yeah, for me, they still have a couple internationals on the roster. DC United, Kai Rouse, come from Hearts of Midlothian, Australian international, and Matty Peltola, the Finnish international. But yeah, that's a fair point. But interestingly, up ahead with this LAFC team, I looked at their lineup for the first leg of Inter Miami game, as expected, they pretty much had their strongest lineup for that CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup. There's only 3 players that started both that first leg and the game against Houston Dynamo in MLS play. Devin, can you guess one of those 3?
Say that again.
Can you guess one of the 3 LAFC players that started both the first leg in CONCACAF against Inter and the MLS game against Houston?
Since we're Tectonic Takes, I can only assume we will be discussing Jeremy Bobasi?
No, he actually didn't
No.
start either game.
What? So who is it?
Well, Saz, do you want to guess one of the 3 players?
Maurice?
Yes, there you go, the goalkeeper. Yeah, that was the layup there. Abram, you want to guess
Are you
one of the
asking me
2
if I
other
want to?
players?
Because the answer is no, but do I have to, Ivan? Like, are you going to kick me off the podcast?
Give it a shot.
Do they still have Valencia? The
So he started the CONCACAF
Okay, I'm
game, but not the MLS
half
game.
the way there. I'm good enough. You want me to do another one?
So the other 2 players were
Okay.
Segura and
Oh,
Buanga.
Buanga.
They went full
Buanga
rotation
would have been a
otherwise.
safe bet, but I don't know why I didn't go with Buanga.
Buanga is a machine. Like, he can run for days. So it doesn't surprise me that he started both those games. And he wasn't subbed off for either of them either. So his hamstring might
Good.
feel like jelly after the leg 2, but man, that's
Better for
One
us this
thing
weekend.
I think a lot of, and kind of go off Devin's point, I've been talking to some LAFC fans, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. But word on the street is Giroud is not liked by the fans. Like, they do not want him there. They don't want him on the bench. They don't want. In fact, they are calling for Jabo to be starting games. They have already really started to like Jeremy Abobasi, which, I mean, for those of us that got to see him the last 3 years. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Shout out Hameen.
Have gotten to see why. I think this game, to move kind of onto it, unless someone had something to say, but is going to be interesting for us because so far, as exciting as we have been at times and as exciting as we are on paper, I think we are a C tier team. And the reason I am maybe like even lower, and the reason I'm saying that is because we have kicked the hell out of really bad teams. We have lost very badly versus good teams. And then it has been 50-50 versus other mid teams. So we are going against another good team today. Next week. So we will be hoping that it isn't a repeat of history where it's like, oh, another good team. All right, we're about to get washed. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, starting to put the pieces together a little bit. And obviously not everyone's back, but not everyone's gone. Not as bad as traveling. A little bit of that LA hate hopefully is in there. And maybe that can inspire us to maybe move to C+, you know?
The best team we beat, Real Salt Lake, I don't think it's even close, considering the crisis that both Sporting Kansas City and DC United are in, at least based on fan reception. It is a possibility that this could be a repeat of the Charlotte game, but I feel like with Charlotte, they're one of the strongest teams in the Eastern Conference. We don't play Charlotte that often. That was the first time we ever played Charlotte. So at least with LAFC, we are familiar with these players, and we do have a history of playing well against LAFC, more so at home rather than away, but we do have that. And if they line up very similarly to how they did against Houston, which I imagine they will because of just how minutes are being logged by the starters in CONCACAF, I feel like they'll still have a formidable center back partnership. And Kosi Tafari, I feel like he's an underrated MLS defender. He might start at right back. But the midfield is going to be a lot more inexperienced, led by Yaya Boa of Columbus Crew formerly. And then, hey, if you want to start Olivier Giroud over Jeremy Abobasi, be our guest, But for me, because of how much Jeremy Abobasi has meant for the San Jose Earthquakes, I know that he has been polarizing near the end of his tenure. I would not be afraid for him to start, and if he scores, he scores. This is a team that means a lot to him. He had a lot of great opportunities with the San Jose Earthquakes. He's got a great opportunity with LAFC, of course, understanding, calling spade a spade, that their title contenders were not there yet.
I'd actually like to build off a point you just said. I would like a tectonic take from everyone right now. If Jabo scores, does he celebrate?
Okay.
Is it hands up? Is it like the hands up?
So,
Like I love y'all, or is it like full on celebration? Like I am happy I scored against y'all.
I,
I don't think he will celebrate the way Justin Morrow celebrated versus us when he played for Toronto. However, I think he may give like a fist bump or two, run to the corner, and then celebrate with his players. But I don't think he's gonna like openly celebrate the way that we would see. I can't think of a player off the top of my head, but
That'd be
yeah,
so funny if he
Chicharito with
did
the
that.
clown reaction. Oh my god! If he did that, I would actually cry. I'm going to the game
Yeah.
at LAFC this weekend, so if we do see Jeremy Bobasi, I know our supporters groups will be absolutely fuming. Um, any game we play from here on out against Jeremy Bobasi.
That clown celebration would probably piss off the Galaxy too, because hey, that's ours. LFC, you're our little brothers. I guess LA Galaxy likes to call everyone their little brothers, even though they get repeatedly beaten by all the other California teams.
Have they even won a game this season?
No.
no, I'm with Devin. I think he doesn't celebrate. Not even because I think that he has like an incredible place in his heart for the team. I think that like he wants to be perceived as somebody who wouldn't disrespect a former team, right? Like I think he's thinking about like their perception, and like I'm Jeremy Bobasi. I am the co-founder of Black Player for Change. I play with honor and respect, and I don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouth of the fans that I did used to play for last season. So that's
If
my
he
take.
does celebrate against us, Devin, please edit that clip with like Abram talking about like a motivational music as the goal's going in and he's celebrating.
With an
Yeah.
echo,
Dude,
with an echo to it.
Titanic music.
Shout out to all our future Patreons out there.
Yeah, for me, I think that I do acknowledge that for Jeremy Bobasi, he got his initial start with Portland Timbers. So I feel like my tectonic take would be it'll be easier for him to celebrate slightly against the San Jose Earthquakes than the Portland Timbers, because even at the tail end of his time with San Jose Earthquakes, I'm sure there was a lot of Portland Timbers fans that were thinking, "We'll take him back," especially post Evander. That they're kind of in a similar spot as us, but I feel like we're currently better off. Champagne problems in the MLS power rankings from ESPN. Our 6-1 was just good enough to get up one spot from 22 to 21, but who cares? We won 6-1, and it's power rankings. Power rankings are arbitrary and objective, so or subjective, I should say.
Yeah.
I teach communication. I should know the difference between
Is this
objective
a
and
PG
subjective.
podcast? Is this a
You
this
can
motherfucker?
say-
This
get away with
I'm
a
motherfucker
sure
is celebrating.
whoever would be offended by swearing has stopped
This
listening by now
motherfucker is
because
celebrating. I'm letting y'all
attention
know
span.
right now. This motherfucker is celebrating.
And-
If he scores versus us.
Well, we better
Yeah,
not let
you've
him
had,
score
like,
then.
You've spoken to him like more than the three of us have, right? So if you're saying that, then I trust you.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be
happen.
like full blown like F you, blah blah blah. But I think there'll be like a little statement like what, like y'all. Oh, look who's here, look who's back. Like I think it'll be something like that. Like,
Y'all got rid of me. Guess what? I'm back.
Is incoming, and he's gonna watch this podcast and do it because I said he's not doing it. Yeah.
I will upload this early so
We
he
have to
can
tag
see
him.
this
Look,
episode.
I love
way
J-Bo either
before.
way. Like whatever he does, I'm actually like I like J-Bo so much. Like I hate LAFC. It's my least favorite team by far. Like they're so fake. They're so annoying. I was happy when he went there just because I'm like, okay, good for him. Like gets the opportunity. Like we mentioned, like championship contending team.
Right.
I would die like laughing if he did something. Like I am almost rooting for like I usually I want a clean sheet for our defense. I'm almost rooting he gets a goal and does something. Like
Maybe if we're up 5-1, and it's the 80th minute, then he can score. Then he can score, and it'll be like, all right, whatever.
oh no, he's got to score first because like I need to see the full like because if he's down 5-1, he's not really gonna do anything right. I need to see the like I'm beating y'all celebration.
I don't
Like,
want to see that. I don't know why you want to see that.
Maybe he'll act like a FIFA player, and if he's down by that much, he'll celebrate
the
anyway
gritty.
because they don't understand context.
Honestly, after the Leagues Cup, I don't know the Leagues Cup
Starts in
one he did where
backflips.
he was like crawling and all of that. I can't even like, yeah, I can't, yeah, I
Oh
can't
my
say a
god,
gritty won't happen.
we need to gift that.
Yeah,
We need to gift
We're
that.
cursing our team here, guys. This is not going to be good.
someone did that years ago. Yeah,
Our
yeah,
team's
someone
already
did that years
cursed.
ago. We aren't adding any more fuel to that fire.
But hey, you look at the schedule. We got points from a team that we were supposed to beat, we hoped to beat, and now we are playing a little bit more with house money. We want to still get results when we can, even if it's against LAFC and Columbus Crew. Those are going to be tough games, but we're also looking at teams like Sporting Kansas City in our next home game. If we can get 3 points from there, and we can get a point, maybe three, in some of these tougher games, then we're in business. But right now, we're hovering in and out of that playoff zone. We'll see in 5, 6 more games' time whether that's a mirage or whether that's a realistic goal. But either way, I think we savored everything out of this 6 pack of goals. And this was just a phenomenal experience to relive it with you all. It was great that we all got to watch it live. And now we'll see what happens from there. You know, Bruce Arena in his classic Bruce Arena fashion. We still got to improve. You know, it's not just coach speak with him. Like, he will find any sort of detail he can to improve this team. But now they've got the attention of more Quakes fans and more MLS fans after this eye-popping result. And if we can stack a few more results, it won't be 6-1s, but then the caveat of, oh, it's just DC United goes away, and then San Jose Quakes will get more respect, and that is earned, not given.
Well said. Well said.
All right. So anything you'd like to plug, anything coming up for you all, Saz, your channel?
That's a dying dumpster fire. No need to watch that. I do food reviews. I think they're pretty fun. I partner with the Tectonic Takes. I watch them. They're cool. I'm just here to be a clown every once in a while.
So you have to make sure people know that they are related to the Quakes. They're not just food reviews. You go into
No. Sometimes I just go to McDonald's. I just like wearing a Quakes jersey. Yeah, I'm reviewing the good point. I'm reviewing each Earthquakes food truck. And I want someone at the Earthquakes to hear what I'm about to say. The falafel kebab trolley was by far the best one, and it has only been there one game.
Yeah.
That is the only one I have said I would highly recommend. Say you need to try, and it has been there for one game. So I don't know what they need to do that, like, because they have a few staple ones and they have ones that like rotate through, and that's one of the rotate ones. They need to make that one a staple. It was so good.
Yeah, as the FO.
All right. So for me, coming up...
No, just saying that
sorry,
whoever is
Abram.
listening, will make it known that we need to bring back the kebab and the falafel. Bring it back. Text him.
Text the admin.
So, for me, the main thing I'm working on aside from the Tectonic Takes right now, I had a live blog with Roots Blog where, similarly to how I take notes for any game I attend or even games that I watch and I'm completely focused on, I give you the minute-by-minute scoop on what's going on in the Oakland Roots games for Roots Blog. So if you're interested in the Oakland Roots, or if you're a Quakes fan and you want to enjoy this weekend further, enjoy the misery of the Roots, the Quakes scored 3 goals in a 10-minute span. The Roots conceded 3 goals in a 10-minute span. So it was very much a Black Mirror type of weekend for me as a fan of both the Roots and the Quakes. But do support the people over at Roots Blog if you're interested in Oakland Roots. And if you want more day games, they're going to have games in the next few weeks against Orange County and Sacramento Republic, 1 p.m. time slot at the Coliseum. So, the Quakes may not have too many more day games, but the Roots do. So there's your option there. Devin, anything else you're working on?
Nothing I'm working on in particular. Just going down south this weekend for the Long Beach Grand Prix. Looking forward to it. We'll be in LA in the time for the game, so I'll be heading over there Saturday night. Not much upcoming at the moment. Just kind of still working on school, so I'm very busy. If you want to come out and communicate with a bunch of other Earthquakes fans, join our Discord. Link down below. Yeah, go Quakes for me.
Yeah, and then Abram, I'm sure you're going to have more insights on the town matches and the next wave of Quakes players looking to break
Yeah,
into
I
this
mean, I'm,
team.
I'm always keeping an eye on the young players, and that's why I'm always asking questions about Bo LaRue, Oscar Verhoeven, any young player who plays Jamar Vickets. I'm always like bothering the coach, like what are your thoughts about this guy? Because it's important to me, and anyone who's following me will want to know that kind of thing from me.
Yep, and once again, thank you all. However you interact with us on Discord, on Blue Sky, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we really appreciate being a part of this community. And it's not always roses, as everyone who is a San Jose Quakes fans knows, but that just makes this great result that much more sweeter. So thank you all for watching and listening, and thank all three of you for joining me here. And hopefully we'll get Devin and Saz on another podcast soon, in more of a rotation, or maybe we'll do this again with this all four of us.
Oh, we are so back, baby.
Yeah, we are so back. Go Quakes. Have a good one.